After a tough 2020 season for Arizona State and Jayden Daniels, the Sun Devils starting quarterback will look to have a strong season and could be one of the first names off the board in the 2022 NFL Draft. But who is Jayden Daniels? In the Who Is series, we go through the backstories of up-and-coming collegiate and pro athletes. If there's a player you want to see in future episodes, make sure to leave it in the comment section below. Jayden Daniels was born on December 18, 2000 and grew up in San Bernardino, California. His father Jay played cornerback at Washington and Iowa State in college. When Jayden was young, his father wanted his son to follow in his footsteps at corner, but that would not be the case. Jayden and his father would throw the football around together, and he began playing flag football at the age of 5. He started playing tackle football when he was 7 years old, actually playing on the defensive side originally before moving to quarterback his second year. He was not the star player his first year, but was able to find playing time. When he started playing quarterback his second year of youth football, he played for a new team, and his career started to take off from there. When Daniels was young, his favorite player was Donovan McNabb, and that is the reason he wears the number 5 jersey today. Daniels attended Cajun High School, which was right around the corner from him. His father had played with head coach Nick Rogers in the past. Originally, Daniels was supposed to just play for the freshman and JV team, but the coaches decided to have him dress on varsity as well. When Daniels' high school team attended a 7-on-7 tournament, the starting quarterback did not show up, so Daniels was thrown in as a starter. The team played well and actually went on to win the championship. As a result, Daniels earned himself an opportunity to fight for the starting job once they put pads on. During an early scrimmage, the other quarterback got hit, so they threw Daniels in. Daniels was nervous, not knowing what to expect, but actually played well, resulting in him winning the starting quarterback job. Daniels played well in his first varsity game and got more comfortable throughout the season. He told Rivals, having that pressure early on, being the starting varsity quarterback as a freshman is something that can kind of prepare me for this year. Starting as a freshman on varsity showed me that you can do anything as a freshman, and you will get on the field if you play well and win the job. And I learned early on that when you are the starter, you have to be mentally ready and make sure you're mentally focused. Daniels finished his freshman year throwing for 2,694 yards, 35 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, while rushing for 216 yards and 3 touchdowns. As a junior, Daniels broke onto the national scene, throwing for 5,136 yards, 62 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, completing 69.9% of his passes, while also rushing for 1,292 yards and 15 touchdowns on the ground. During the season, Daniels had a 99-yard rushing touchdown, and during the state championship game, Daniels accounted for 574 yards, throwing for 293 yards and 4 touchdowns, while rushing for 281 yards and another 4 touchdowns in a 54-28 win and a 14-2 record. Daniels had just as strong of a season as a senior, averaging 322.5 passing yards per game and 109.7 rushing yards per game. He finished the season throwing for 4,515 yards, 60 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, while completing 70.7% of his passes. He also rushed for 1,536 yards and 16 touchdowns on the ground. The Cowboys finished the season going 12-2, reaching the 2018 Southern Section Division III Championship. Daniels rewrote not just his high school record book, but the CIF Southern Section record book, finishing his career throwing for 14,007 yards and 170 touchdowns, while also rushing for 3,645 yards and 41 touchdowns on the ground. He finished his high school career with a record of 44-10 as a starting quarterback, while being named an Elite 11 finalist and playing in the Under Armour All-American game. Coming out of high school according to 24/7 Sports Composite, Jayden Daniels was a 4-star recruit who was the second best dual threat quarterback, third best player in California, and 35th best player in the class of 2019. Daniels received over 25 different Division I offers from the likes of Alabama, Arizona State, Georgia, LSU, and Ohio State. As you would expect, he received offers from most of the Pac-12 schools, accumulating 9 in total and visiting Arizona State, California, UCLA, and Utah. Daniels' parents didn't let him focus on what recruits were getting offers in his class when he was young, and he realized he could start at the collegiate level after his junior year when he started receiving bigger offers. Daniels was one of the later quarterbacks to commit because he wanted to focus on his team his senior year and didn't want to rush his commitment. Daniels told Rivals, "My parents kept me very grounded, but I also have my self-discipline. My parents taught me a lot of good things at a young age. As I got older, I started making decisions for myself and knew what had to come first. I knew it was school because I can't have bad grades." Daniels had dreamed about playing in the NFL from a young age. Originally, Arizona State was not going to be one of his top choices, but that all changed when they hired Herm Edwards to be head coach. Daniels' first conversation with Herm Edwards was a very important and impactful one. He told rivals if I were to come to Arizona State that he would always look out for me. Saying that in our first conversation and looking my mom in the eye and saying he's a man of his word meant everything. That meant a lot to her because I'm going to school 4 or 5 hours away from home, and she has to let me go and trust ASU. My dad also has to trust the people in the school I'm going to, and he knows he could trust them after what Coach Herm said. Having all that NFL experience on staff did speak a lot to me during that recruitment process. The coaches at ASU know what it takes for a quarterback to play at the next level and be successful. Arizona State practices were also structured like NFL ones. As a result, Jayden Daniels committed to the Sun Devils a week before signing day and later signed with them. According to Charles Power of 24/7 Sports, Daniels was projected as a multi-year Power 5 starter with the upside of being an all-league quarterback at the helm of a highly productive offense, if put in the right situation. Projects to be an early NFL draft selection, specifically the second round, with a pro comparison to Deshaun Watson. Jayden Daniels quickly impressed coaches throughout the spring his freshman year, only throwing 1 interception, which was his last throw of the spring, which he was mad about. He won the starting job, becoming the first true freshman quarterback in program history to start the first game of the season. In a win over Kent State, Daniels threw for 284 yards and 2 touchdowns, while also rushing for a touchdown, becoming the 3rd quarterback in Arizona State program history to win the first career start as a freshman, joining John Walker in 1984 and Dennis Sproul in 1974. In an upset win over number 6 Oregon, Jayden Daniels threw for 408 yards and 3 touchdowns in a 31-28 win. He finished his freshman season throwing for 2,943 yards, 17 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, playing in 12 of Arizona State's 13 games. He missed the USC game after sustaining a lower leg injury on a scramble in a loss to UCLA. Daniels also rushed for 355 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. He finished the season not throwing an interception on 157 attempts, while finishing as Pac-12 Honorable Mention Freshman Offensive Player of the Year and Sean Alexander Freshman of the Year semifinalist. Daniels in Arizona State had a tough 2020, only playing 4 games. In the season opener, Daniels threw for 134 yards and 1 touchdown, while rushing for 111 yards on the ground in a 28-27 loss. In a loss to UCLA, Daniels threw his first interception going back to October 2019, almost 14 months earlier, finishing the game throwing for 225 yards and 1 touchdown, while rushing for a touchdown as well. In a 70-7 win over Arizona, Daniels finished the game going 9 for 11 with 203 passing yards and 2 touchdowns, while rushing for a touchdown on the ground. He finished the 2020 season throwing for 139 yards and 1 touchdown, while rushing for 83 yards and 2 touchdowns in a win over Oregon State. Daniels finished his sophomore year throwing for 701 yards, 5 touchdowns and 1 interception, while rushing for 223 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Going into the 2021 season, Arizona State and Jayden Daniels look to have a strong year. As of May 11th, Daniels has the 8th highest odds to be the first overall pick in the 2022 NFL Draft and is projected to be a future first-round pick. He also has 25-1 odds of winning the Heisman Trophy, according to Vegas Insider. After a quiet 2020, don't be surprised if Jayden Daniels explodes back onto the scene in 2021. But what do you think? How do you think Daniels will play this year? Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, check out my other videos in the Who Is series. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Let's get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of June. And as always, remember to embrace the grind.